Hello and happy Earth Day. My name is Jerry DeMarco. I'm the new Commissioner of the Environment and Sustainable Development in the Office of the Auditor General of Canada. I'm here to discuss the two reports that we provided to Parliament this morning. They are the first of several reports that I will present this year, with even more planned for 2022. Our first report focuses on the work done by Employment and Social Development Canada and other federal government organizations to implement a national approach to support the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. In 2015, Canada and 192 other countries committed to the 2030 Agenda and its Sustainable Development Goals. These goals address issues that are important to all Canadians, such as ending poverty, protecting the planet, and improving prosperity. Taken together, implementing the Sustainable Development Goals will ensure that nobody is left behind. Overall, we found that the federal government had laid some foundational blocks towards implementing the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030, including carrying out consultations and establishing a governance structure. However, much work remains to be done to achieve national collaboration across jurisdictions and stakeholders. This includes developing a strong national implementation plan with clear roles and responsibilities, tools for policy coherence, and increased data about vulnerable populations. In 2019, when Deputy Auditor General Andrew Hayes was serving as interim commissioner, he stated that it was time for the government to ensure that there is a single, well-designed and coordinated strategy for sustainable development in Canada. Unfortunately, this call to action needs to be repeated today, as national coordination remains a significant challenge in Canada. In responding to a recommendation in our report, Employment and Social Development Canada highlighted that it lacks the authority to lead a national initiative of this nature. However, our report includes many examples of countries that have centralized efforts and made progress on the Sustainable Development Goals. As Auditor General Karen Hogan stated less than a month ago in reference to large government-wide initiatives, our governments in Canada need to collaborate in dealing with issues that cut across federal departments and agencies, public and private sectors, Indigenous communities, other levels of government, and civil society. To fulfill its commitment to Agenda 2030, I believe that the federal government must provide strong leadership, even if implementation requires the involvement of many others. In the here and now, meeting commitments to implement the Sustainable Development Goals must be a cornerstone of Canada's strategies to support recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic and reconciliation with Indigenous peoples. The audit also looked at how departments were addressing three specific targets from the 2030 Agenda. Actions on the National Poverty Reduction Target, led by Employment and Social Development Canada, provide a good example of how targets should be implemented. The work done showed good collaboration with all levels of government, set out clearly defined roles, and was supported by good data. The other two targets were missing important elements that could help the federal government achieve sustainable outcomes for Canadians. For example, on the Women in Leadership target, actions had been identified but were uncoordinated, and no lead department was identified. In addition, data on vulnerable groups such as Indigenous people and visible minorities was limited. Although I have mentioned that there has been some progress towards implementing the Sustainable Development Goals, today, in year 6 of 15, the federal government should have moved beyond working on the foundations of an important and ambitious program like this. I believe that it is essential for the federal government to pick up the pace, because much more work is needed to achieve sustainable outcomes for all Canadians by 2030. The second report we released today focuses on whether Health Canada ensured that natural health products available for sale across the country are safe and accurately represented to consumers. About 70% of Canadians regularly use natural health products such as vitamins, minerals, and homeopathic medicines to maintain their health and prevent minor ailments. So this report touches on something that directly affects the daily lives and choices of many consumers. Overall, we concluded that Health Canada's oversight of natural health products fell short of ensuring that products were safe and effective. The department relied on evidence of safety and effectiveness to approve proposed products, but its limited inspections of manufacturing facilities left consumers exposed to potential health and safety risks. The audit also found that once natural health products were on the market, Health Canada's monitoring was insufficient to ensure that products were as described on the label or licensed for sale. Auditors found that 88% of the products they reviewed carried potentially misleading information, including health claims not authorized by Health Canada. These included claims that products relieved fatigue, enhanced endurance, or burned fat, as well as incorrect dosage information. We found that Health Canada investigated products that were suspected of causing serious health risks and took immediate action to address them. However, the department's approach was reactive and not always successful in having products pulled from the shelves. The audit found that during the pandemic, Health Canada responded to the urgent need for COVID-19 products, such as alcohol-based hand sanitizers. It temporarily waived compliance with specific regulatory requirements to afford Canadian manufacturers some flexibility without increasing the risk of serious safety concerns. The department also increased its oversight of the products marketed for COVID-19. In summary, these two audits underscore the need for the federal government to look out for the well-being of Canadians and foster sustainability. Major social, economic, and environmental inequalities still impede Canada's path to sustainability. Looking back at the Office of the Auditor General's work in the context of today's environmental crises, it is clear that much work needs to be done to protect nature and the well-being of current and future generations of Canadians. I will continue to highlight the federal government's performance in areas related to the environment and sustainable development. Upcoming reports will also consider other key issues, including Canada's actions in response to the global climate crisis. Thank you.